this is the Poe-Cast. Or hopefully it will be after everything's all edited and figured out.
Yes, and we probably should explain that, Introduce ourselves and explain the name of the Poe-Cast, because, yes, the idea is to be reminiscent of the Poe ghosts from The Legend of Zelda.
Did it catch when we were talking about how this thing got started? Or how the idea got started?
I don't actually think we explained how it got started.
Well, okay. Well, Christopher and I were geeking out, I think about 1.5 years, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and I think Colin and Alex had started their Ubercast.
The Ubercast, yes.
That'd be kind of cool if we did that. Of course, we'd be talking about geeky stuff. Not sure if people would appreciate it. But in the end, I think we both kind of decided we'd appreciate it enough and have fun that we'd just do it anyway. There we go. And eventually people would find out, and they'd be like, hey, geekiness, and they'd listen. Or they'd ignore it, and we'd eventually forget about it.
Well, we'd forget about it, then remember it whenever we wanted to listen to a really crazy orc story.
Well, orc story could then come in until a week ago, when we were kind of like, hey, we should actually do this.
Yeah, this is true.
It's been 2 years. We should really actually maybe do this.
Yeah.
There we go. But anyways, actual introductions, in case someone who's completely random who we don't know ends up listening to the Poe-Cast. Hi, I'm Benjamin.
Hi, I'm Christopher.
And we have a guest with us. It's Katy. But yeah, we were just real. Who is real?
Yes, she is actually real.
Christopher and I were talking, like, hey, we should actually do this, and he disappeared. And then he comes back, he's like, hi, meet Katy. And I was like, this is something goofy he's doing again. All of a sudden, Katy's like, hi. And I was like, oh, you're real. Which wasn't the best choice of words.
I'm just interested in what kind of friendship you two have, that when he says, meet this girl, and you're just like, oh, she's real.
Well, no, like, we'll be talking about characters in books. So Christopher writes stories, I write stories, and we'll get a character idea. I'll be like, hey, Christopher, meet Fiara the Flare. And Christopher's like, oh, hi, Fiara Flare, and I explain the character to him.
Or sometimes he actually does the voice when we have a conversation.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay, I do that too.
Gangsta Jar. You send... Gangster Jar Jar. Oh my, I forgot about that.
Stay on target. Anyway, back on topic. Okay, just as a point of reference, yes, Katy is a writer as well. We are all writers here.
But anyway, this is the pilot cast of the Poe-Cast, as everyone's probably figured out, and we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do for our first cast, and I think both Christopher and I were like, you know what, our pilot Poe-Cast should be discussing what we're going to do with the Poe-Cast, like what we'll talk about and such.
Yes.
Which mostly is going to be whatever nerdy is on our mind at the time.
Yes.
Or it'll just be random conversations.
Like we've been having.
Like right now, yeah.
Yeah. We are going to talk about geeky stuff. And possibly have crazy orc stories. I mean, that's gonna happen. We're gonna talk about geek and stuff and crazy orc stories. So, what is on my mind right now is pie. Because I do believe that actually the original name of the podcast was going to be the Poe-Cast.
It was going to be the Poe-Cast because I was obsessed with Minecraft, and Minecraft only had cake at the time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on a quest for pie. And I made Actually, no, I won't say this on the podcast. But eventually I ended up getting Minecraft. I probably just said the same thing anyway, I was going to say. And my character's name was Dwarf Pie. And he was an angry dwarf who was in search of pie. Shortly after I got the game, though, they introduced pie to the game, so he really didn't have a reason to be angry anymore. So he became obsessed with pie.
So just in the life of pie.
Yeah. He just became the love of pie, and he became a very happy dwarf.
Well, you could say...
When you said pie at first, I thought you meant 3.14.
No. I died.
I know. I don't like it either, don't worry.
Now, if we ever have my brother Jonathan on the podcast as a guest, he can probably recite a good portion of pie to you. ...
I can get as far as would be 3.14159.265, and I think there's a 4 after, but I'm not sure.
3.14, done.
Right?
I know 3.14159.265, 3.5, and after that, I fail.
The unimaginable just happened. We talked about math in the Poe-Cast.
On the very first episode, I mean, it's yeah.
Oh my gosh. We should try to have a guest on the show every Poe-Cast. That'd be kind of fun.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
So with someone like Katy, who's just kind of like, what the heck is going on?
Why am I in here? I'm trapped.
I'm enjoying it.
Well, I'm not saying you don't enjoy it. I'm just saying, like, okay, they just, what is going on? So then we're like, okay, now we actually have to explain what's going on in our brains. Actually, this would be a good way to keep us in check.
Yes, actually.
So that listeners are going to be like, 5 minutes later, okay. Just like that. Just like that.
Yes.
So Christopher's thinking about pie, correct?
He's thinking about pie. I'm still searching for something.
So,
I'm thinking of Guy Fawkes Day.
yes,
You're thinking of what?
Guy Fawkes Day.
Guy Fawkes Day. Blow something up.
Oh.
It's tomorrow.
That's one of my other favorite things to do.
Christopher, I believe Benjamin and I are going to be friends.
I do believe so.
Christopher,
What?
guess what time it is?
No!
It's work time. It's just the part of the show where Benjamin comes up with a random work story. This is what we started talking about, and I was like, Christopher, shut up! You're gonna spoil it!
Well, go ahead.
Well, there's orcs in pretty much every fantasy story that's on the face of God's green earth. And
Yes.
They predate Tolkien even.
It's okay too. Christopher introduced me to Warhammer 40K, and they have the most hilarious orc stories. Now, not all of my orc stories are going to be from Warhammer and Warhammer 40K, but the funny ones will be. And we're trying to find a funny one, which is, I'm kind of at a loss right now, so I guess I'm going to resort to what Christopher told me to do, which is the story of Warboss Fragbutt. But Warboss Fragbutt, I was looking through all the stories of Warhammer 40K, and they have special heroes and stuff that you can buy, and they're very expensive point-wise in the game, and money-wise to literally buy in real life.
Yeah, that's the truth.
I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make up my own Warboss. And I was very slap-happy when Christopher and I were talking, and we decided on the name Warboss Fragbutt. And I think Christopher asked me the immortal question of, or maybe not immortal, I should have chosen a different word. Why is his name Fragbutt? And I'm looking through the Orc Codex right now. I'm trying to get to the weapons, because in every codex of all of the 40K things, they describe weapons. And they have all the weapons, and the descriptions are the best. Like, this is the end that shoots. This is the stabby end. Heavy weapon, real shibaka. That's how orcs talk. There's electric now-watts. There's sluggards, good for close range killing. And there's stick bombs. Throw them and they go bang.
You would like those.
Warboss Fragbutt was a part of the Tank Buster Squad. Tank busters like to go in and blow up tanks. Now, orcs are not known for their intelligence, as you heard about from all their weapon descriptions. So Warboss, he was just normal. He was normal orc at the time without a name. But he started teasing a tank, and to tease the tank, he started slapping himself on the rear end with his stick bomb. Needless to say, the inevitable happened. Which led to his name, Fragbutt.
So, go on to tell the story of how Warboss Fragbutt got his hat.
Warboss Fragbutt's hat, which I still need to get him. Oh yes, if people people go and look at my Facebook page, I might even put it on the Poe-Cast, you can see War Boss Fragbutt in the making. He looks very cool. He doesn't have his hat yet. Sort of about how War Boss Fragbutt, when he became a War Boss, which is the leader of all the orcs, got his hat, he ran up to a tank and started not banging on the hatch. Eventually, the commissar, the commander of the tank, popped the hatch open and stuck his head out to shoot the orc.
Just to note, the commissar is part of the Imperial Guard, who are humans.
Yes, they're humans, and they hate orcs.
Yes.
And are very religious. Actually, the Imperial Guard kind of isn't, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But much to his surprise, Warboss Fragbutt just simply took his hat and handed him a bomb and shoved him back in the tank and closed the hatch and ran away. Needless to say, the tank exploded, the commissar died, but Warboss Fragbutt has a very awesome hat, which he doesn't let go of.
His lucky hat.
His lucky hat.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. It's his lucky hat.
Hey, Benjamin, if you could, look up rules if you can give him equipment and see if you can give him a morale boost or some sort of boost because of his hat.
That'll be something I'll have to get back to you on.
Okay. Just see if you can do that. I don't know if you can, but see if you can.
The codex is 200. No, it's 73 pages long, but still, that's long.
Hey.
200 is a far cry from 73, Benjamin.
Well, I'm looking, okay, there's the rule book, which is 235 pages, and then there's the codex book, which is 73 pages.
Benjamin, I laugh at you. Benjamin, I laugh at you. The Warhammer Fantasy rulebook is like 550 pages.
Oh, there's a story to read if I need to find it. Another orc story. No, I really should save it for another time.
All right. While you're digging, I will explain to Katy and the as yet not real listeners. Benjamin primarily plays Warhammer 40K or 40,000, which...
Well, I don't really play it, but I...
Well, you play it as much as I play Fantasy.
If you're listening to this, you still need to teach me.
Okay. He primarily plays the sci-fi version of the game. The whole idea of the Warhammer world is that they basically have two different games. One is set in the far past, which is knights and dragons and orcs and various different just fantasy elements set in the far past. And then you skip forward like 40,000 years, hence the name Warhammer 40K, and you get the sci-fi version, where the orcs and the elves and the humans and all that are still around, but now they are all sci-fi. And it's pretty cool. It's a fun game. What's even better than
that sounds really fun, actually.
It is. See, this is one of the things that Benjamin and I are going to have a lot of fun introducing you to, is all these geeky things, like this game.
From Grimgore Ironhide. Everything I see is mine. All the other bits are mine too. I just ain't got there yet. When we reach the end of the world, we'll turn around and march back. There's some orky wisdom from the orcs.
There we go. It actually sounds like my next door neighbor.
Is he an orc? Your next door neighbor is a orc?
I don't know. He's kind of fat and ugly, though.
Oh, well, okay, maybe that's a troll. It's more like a troll, but...
Yeah.
What I think in Benjamin, in my opinion, is the best part of the Warhammer game is actually the figures and painting the figures, because these are some of the most detailed figures in the world. They are really incredible.
The stories are amazing.
Yeah, the stories are great too. I mean, they're really fluff, but some of it is incredible fluff, like you are about to hear right now.
So, a huge abbreviation of the story of Wog Gorbag. A Wog is like a call to war for all the orcs, usually named after the orc that calls it. Gorbag, Bad Ironclaw, was the one who claimed that he had the biggest and best Wog of all the orky history back in the Warhammer Fantasy. He, over 500 years, it's still the best. Super abbreviated, Gorbad Ironclaw led a huge Wog and pretty much wiped out everything he met. He wiped out some dwarf fortresses, which, if you read your fantasy pretty well, dwarf fortresses are the best, pretty much, unsiegeable. He sieged them and wiped them out. blah, blah, blah. And then he started attacking the Empire. He started taking out the human kingdoms left and right. Then he sieged the city of Altdorf, which is kind of the capital of the Empire. And it didn't go so well. And to slowly quote, this march was immediately followed by a direct attack on Altdorf's walls and an ill-prepared assault that was bloodily repulsed. Impatient with the delays, Gorbad ordered charge after charge, demanding the whole tribes, which he had thousands of tribes, not thousands of orcs, thousands of tribes, traverse and attack Altdorf's southern approaches through the marshes. Everything that was the worst idea possible he did. Most of his numbers got wiped out by sinking into the marshes before they even got to the walls. Eventually, tribes started leaving, and they were like, no, screw this, we're not going to fight for you. And that led to him having to use his secret weapons. He had some, I don't know what that part of the story is, so I'll skip it. He realized he couldn't keep hemorrhaging the troops, nor lead the assault himself due to a wound that he had received, which wouldn't heal, so he unleashed his secret weapon. The trains were severed from the freight wagons that had been hauled down from the mountains. With ear-shattering screeches, a half-dozen wyverns burst forth. And he assembled all the reptile beasts into a mass aerial assault, timing this with yet another full-scale ground attack of what troops he had available. The wyverns pretty much did what they wanted, swooped in and dove upon the city's guardians, and viciously tearing apart men and destroying cannons with ease. Amongst the commotion, a wyvern smashed into the Emperor himself's palace, crashing through the roof of the Great Hall. For several hours, the beast rampaged through the building, eating servants by the dozens. Every time the defenders would attempt to block its progress, the wyvern would merely shoulder its way through another wall and shower of wooden splinters and brick dust. Emperor Sigismund, I can't pronounce his name, it's really long, led a group of archers against the beast. The wyvern brushed aside the bowmen, seized the Emperor in its crushing jaws. Imperial records cite how the surviving archers fled from the horrific snapping sounds, although some reports describe a sound wyvern battling the first for the regal remains. With its appetite sated, the wyvern began to make a nest of banners and tapestries in the throne room and went to sleep. So pretty much it just went and ate the king of the entire world. Well,
and then took a nap.
The Bretonians, Christopher will argue that.
We will argue that.
Pretty much just swallowed him whole and went to sleep.
In the middle of the throne room.
Okay, thanks, bye.
But needless to say, Gorbad still wasn't able to fully siege the city and kind of lost.
Yeah.
But still, he took out the king in a very cool way.
That
Incorrectly cool way.
Yes. I want to die that cool sometime.
That's another story for another day.
Oh, that story.
I already spoiled anybody who still might be listening and enjoyed this. 2 stories. Used up a quarter of the podcast time. Half of this probably get edited out.
It'll be saved for the next podcast.
Save for the... We'll just split them in half.
Yeah.
You can always do that. Your voice never really changes unless you're sick.
True. Unless you're a voice actor. Like Sam Witwer, and you're just like, I'm Emperor Palpatine. I can talk like this. The Empire will survive. I lost every quote that I could think of.
Don't you hate that? You start doing a voice and then you don't remember what they say.
Oh, I can't do my sneaker voice today.
Or you could just make up voice, or you could just make up quotes to continue going on about, and then you really do forget all the words that you ever knew, and your vocabulary goes away, and you have to keep going until you get very angry.
I don't appreciate you making fun of Emperor Palpatine. Right, I'd really appreciate if you didn't make fun of him.
Serious character.
He's very serious. I'm very serious about this. By the way, I'm George Lucas. George.
That's
now, are you being attacked by the literal George that lives in your house?
No, I'm talking to your George, who just went away.
There's more than one George now. This is interesting.
Yes. So I'm the George who I'm the post Disney George.
Post Disney George. Yes. Oh, don't even get me started on that, Christopher.
Hey, wait. Before you get angry, let's transition into our next segment, which is apparently going to be about Star Wars. And let me tell you that... Wait. Before...
You have to bleep out Disney.
Before you get angry about beep...
They might even sue us for even saying their name. Disney. Christopher, don't bleep those out.
The writer for Episode 7 has been sacked, and they are getting the co-writer for Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, and Star Wars Episode 6, The Return of the Jedi, to write the script for Episode 7.
For the new one?
Yes.
Okay, they're slightly forgiven.
Yes, slightly.
But still, how many times have you said to me, I've told you so, Christopher?
Many.
Now it's his turn.
We haven't seen anything yet.
The best I told you so
Oh, goodness.
was when they announced the Inquisitor for Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, good grief.
When Christopher and I were back in our role-playing, RPG days, when we were doing a Star Wars RPG.
Hey, we're still in our RPG days.
Except Dando Vor has kind of disappeared. So is Kerrigan. Very nice trial.
Yeah.
They're hiding from the Empire. But anyways.
Oh, yeah, they are.
When we started this game, first we put it in a completely different timeline, so we didn't have to worry about other characters and overlapping and messing up the story. Then we're like, we moved back into the Clone Wars timeline. And then we didn't want to have direct dealings with the Empire and stuff like that when we actually started getting into Rebellion era. And Christopher was like, hey, we can't join the Empire because there's this and this. But I was looking at all these fan films, and they had these cool things called Inquisitors, which were Jedi who joined the Empire who weren't really Dark Jedi, or they were Dark Jedi. And Christopher and I got into several debates about that, and why it wouldn't work, why it could work, blah, blah, blah. I was for, he was against. And I was like, just watch. One of these days, they'll make it canon, and I'll be able to tell you I told you so. 4 stinking years later, they announce the Inquisitor, who is awesome because he's based off the original Darth Maul concept art, which makes me even happier because Darth Maul was one of my favorite Sith.
Yeah, he was...
Speaking of favorites, I already told Christopher this, but I'm going to say it for the Poe-Cast. Guess what t-shirt I'm wearing, Christopher? He knows.
Yeah, I do.
Everybody knows.
I know.
It's a Deadpool t-shirt. It's awesome. We won't be talking about superheroes much on the Poe-Cast, except for Deadpool, whenever I start gloating over Deadpool. Who apparently is supposedly having a movie coming out sometime soon. Christopher doesn't like Deadpool.
No, I don't.
Ooh, which reminds me, I'm going to send you a video, Christopher.
I know of Deadpool. I have a lot of friends that are crazy about him.
Your friends too? Are they female? The ones who are crazy about him?
You have to understand, Christopher, Deadpool is quite the ladies' man.
A lot of them are female.
I'm sending you a video to watch, Christopher. You have to watch it now, but for our audience, if there is still one available, there's this awesome... Oh gosh, where's the actual name for it? I don't see it on the channel now. There's an awesome YouTube channel, which I don't know if you guys have ever came across the... all those different polls online where they're like, this superhero versus this superhero, and they take a voting poll, and depending on the voting poll, it's pretty much the fans voting for their favorite. Who would win? They do the same thing, except based on how, there's a Deadpool ad. This is awesome. Okay, never mind, I guess hijacked. This is my focus song. They have a video, it's called Superpower Beatdown, and they do the same thing, except when they get the results of the voting, they release the results in a video, a dramatic interpretation of how the fight would end between those two based on the votes that were taken.
So it's similar to the epic rap battles of history.
Yeah, except it's actual dramatized and fighting. And there's a video, Batman versus Deadpool.
Batman versus Deadpool.
I'm not going to say how it ends, but
Well, I'm not a big Batman fan, so.
well, even with, I was very happy how it ended. It was a perfect ending. It was a perfect ending. I mean, I like Batman, but I love Deadpool. It's a perfect ending. And it was a perfect fight, to be honest. And they nailed it. The actors are really right on par with the characters they play. And cool, neat little thing about the video, they actually went to the Hollywood studios and got the Batmobile from Batman Returns to use for like 3 seconds in the video.
Oh, heck yes.
Deadpool pretty much set up. He has Catwoman tied to a chair, blah, 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 Deadpool stuff. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, guess who's coming? And all of a sudden, Batman just kind of slowly pulls in the Batmobile and gets out. And it's like, oh, yeah, yep. It's
awesome. I think Christopher disappeared.
I'm not. I am not.
Video.
I am not a Deadpool fan. I mean, I've not been a Deadpool fan just from Benjamin's descriptions of his insanity. You know, Benjamin, I think that our logo should be a Link to the Past Wizrobe holding a pie.
Holding a pie?
Holding a pie. Poe in one hand, pie in the other. Pie has to be in there somewhere because food is going to be another subject of
oh yes,
food's going to be a subject.
Food and cheese and stuff like that. On the podcast, yeah.
We probably some of these shows will be eating on. What was that?
No, I'm not a hobbit.
I'm not a hobbit either. Are you a hobbit?
I'm a dwarf.
He's a dwarf
through and through.
But are you a hobbit?
Hey, Christopher.
What?
Should I activate the page now while we're doing the Poe-Cast, and this is the dramatic moment of when the Poe-Cast starts, or should I wait till we actually get the sound edited and then pull it up?
Activate it now.
Activate it now. Alright.
Press the button!
If I can figure out how to activate it. That was rather anticlimactic.
So, Katy, getting back to the food conversation, are you a hobbit?
I don't know what I would be.
Do you like mushrooms? That's the question.
Do I like what?
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms?
Mushrooms.
No, not really.
Then you're not a hobbit.
Okay, so, to wrap up, Katy, would you like to give us a closing topic of geeky discussion to have very quickly?
Neat little tradition that we should start. Yes, I like it.
A topic of closing discussion.
Which could go on for like 15 minutes, but you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we should start inviting people. I'm going to start inviting random people who might like this.
Yay.
I'm going to start with the 2 people who inspired us. I'm going to say that right now. Shout out to Colin and Alex, who inspired us to start this over 2 years ago. Thanks, guys.
You may live to regret it.
I may live to regret it.
No, they may live to regret it.
Oh, they may live to regret it.
Anyway, closing geeky topic.
Sorry, I keep distracting you.
No, that's okay. I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what to ask you to.
Okay, actually, I have a question for you. Are you a Whovian?
I know of the Whovians, and I have friends, but because of my life circumstance special to me, I haven't been able to get into it, but I desperately want to.
Gotcha. Okay.
She will be introduced.
I know of the TARDIS and of the 12 and the freaky crying angels that you don't look at.
We don't like them. Since this is a geek podcast, I was going to ask you, favorite geeky thing?
Favorite geeky thing?
Go.
What do you mean? Like geeky science, geeky Star Wars, like...
Anything.
Anything. RPs are really fun.
Do what's that?
RPs. Role-playing.
Role-playing.
Dungeons and Dragons, or just in general, role playing?
Just anything really. There's not a lot of geeky down here, Christopher. You know that.
Well, I know, but I know that you also are a geek yourself.
True.
And that there are some geeky things that you like.
Yes. Star Wars would be the main one for down around here.
This does please us.
Please, you have no idea.
I was raised on it. I can't help it.
Let's wrap this up.
This is Benjamin.
This is Christopher.
And this is our guest,
Katy.
And this
is the Poe-Cast. Signing off. I'm calling that done.